Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Ladies Best Life podcast. Today we're going to be talking about defining your rich life, defining your vision. How often do we end up just kind of going through the motion of life, not really knowing where we want to go, but knowing that we don't particularly want to be here? If I'm talking about myself and a lot of the ladies I've worked with over the years, that's quite often. We generally tend to live in that place where we just keep going along the treadmill of life. We don't ever really stop to ask ourselves the question of what do we want, or even where am I going? We just allow for the chaos of life to overtake and not really stop to check in with ourselves. So that's why I thought it'd be important to talk to you about that today. Because as you are very well aware of now, the Ladies Best Life podcast is being designed so that you can get the goals that you want to get. Obviously, the only things that are missing are the support, the accountability, and the community, which we give inside the coaching club. But for you, I want you to allow yourself this time today. And if you're thinking, oh my God, Sasha, I don't have time. How on earth am I going to have time to do this? I hardly have time to brush my teeth, right? Because I've heard that before, definitely. Or kids follow me everywhere. I can't even go for a wee and bees. I get it, okay? I completely understand. Life is busy. And I always say this to CC girls, I can't help to lighten the load of life, but I can help you with being able to deal with it a little bit better. And that's what we're going to do today. We're not going to get into strategies of how to handle life in a more effective way. But I think if we can have the vision, if we can know what our rich life is, it's going to help to steer us in the right direction. Rather than just going, oh my God, this is just so overwhelming. We can go, okay, I'm here, but I'm going there. And it doesn't matter how long it takes me to get there, as long as I get there. One kind of frame that I use for coaching club girls is it's like getting in a car, going into the sat-nav navigation system and being like, take me somewhere. Or I don't want to be here, so take me anywhere but here. If we do that, the sat-nav's going to be like, mate, are you having a giraffe? This is not something I can navigate towards. And it's exactly the same with life. If you have a clear vision, if you understand where you're going, you can then feel like you've got that sense of direction, which feeds into your motivation, which feeds into your discipline, which feeds into your daily actions, and therefore creates the life that you actually want. I hear so many people listening, you come back to me after listening to these podcasts and you're like, but Sash, I've got 3 children and my career's full time and it's packed full of pressure. We can't change a lot of things in life. We can't change the circumstances. We can't change, what else could it be? The amount of children we've got, the pressures we've got. But we can change our state. We can change how we feel. And that's what we're here to do. That's what Ladies Best Life podcast is about. It's not about, and I say this all the time, it's not about you need to abandon all your responsibilities in order to live your best life. It's about how can you live your best life whilst still having those circumstances, whilst still having those responsibilities. And if you don't believe it's possible, you may as well stop listening now. Because what you believe is what becomes your reality. And if you don't believe that you can do it, if you don't believe it's possible, if you believe that no, back foot mentality, I can't change your mind. Okay, I can give you paradigm shifts. I can help to slightly shift those beliefs, but I can't do the whole lot of work for you. Okay, that comes down to you. That comes down to you looking at the other women that I work with who have got 3 children and a high pressure career, and going, if they can do it, why can't I? And it's not going, they can do it, oh my God, they're so much more of a better person than I am. It's going, if they can't, why can't I? What am I missing in regards to strategy, in regards to mindset, whatever, right? Because that's all there is. It's either a belief gap or it's a strategy gap. And both of those things you can get. So we're going to dive into how we're going to create this vision, this value, this mission, this kind of rich life. And they're all pretty much the same thing, right? Vision, where we're going, what do you see happening for you? Mission, what you want to get from life. Rich life, where do you want to be when you're on your rocking chair? So 85, 90 years old, hopefully we'll have the honor of still being around at that age. And it's going, right, what do I want to have happened? What sort of life do I want to have lived? Because when we zoom out, we gain perspective. We get out of this current day-to-day, caught in the doing. And that's when we can go, oh my God, yeah, that rocking chair, that moment will be here before I know it. Like, think back the last 10 years. So think back to when I was 21. Weirdly, it feels like it was yesterday, but it also feels like it was so long ago it didn't ever happen. That will happen as the decades go, guys, right? So how can we tap into that now so we get that power of foresight rather than hindsight? So the first thing that we need to do in order to create this vision is we need to be clear on our values. What do we value in life? You can separate this in regards to professionally and personally. For me, I don't do it. Like, I have, it's one set of values that are the same for both professional and also personal. They link super nicely. And I think like values are held within us, right? So how can they be different for personal and career? For me, that seems like it can sometimes give us a bit of a cop out for the other area. So say, for example, you are super reliable when it comes to personal standards, but then in career you're not, or maybe the other way around, or maybe you really value quality time inside your career, so you really give your customers quality time, but then at home you're never present with your children. So it seems like it's a bit of a contradictory thing, whereas I believe if we can have one set of values, it's an absolute game changer. Now, obviously, if you own a business and you are, working with a hub of people, your company values will probably be different to yourself. But it depends how far into business you are, and how big the business is, actually, to be fair. But you can generally still have a merge, or at least a connection. So what are your values? Do you know what they could be? Now, the way to break this down, and we have discussed this before in the past, but the way to understand them is have a look at where you spend your time, what you spend your time thinking about, and also where you spend your money. Because often people will go, right, values. What sound good? Okay, I value my family, I value my health, I value integrity, and I value self-worth, right? But then you look at their actions, they're never present with their family, they are not sticking to the things that they say they want to do, so they don't have personal integrity. And when it comes to health, it's something that they would like to have, but they're currently, nailing 3 bottles of Pinot every week, haven't been to the gym in 6 months, and don't really get many steps in throughout the day. So think about where you are right now. Where are you spending your time, your money, and your thoughts? Have a look at those values. Can you pull words out of them? And if you're unsure, get a notepad and pen and just write down those things. What am I thinking about all the time? Where am I spending my money? What are my thoughts? That's thinking. And where am I spending my time? Okay? Now, where this can be complicated is because you can generally fall into traps in life where you're spending your time looking at things and spending your time kind of like investing into things that aren't really aligned with your values. And that's where we can feel a little bit yucky, right? So even though you could want different values, your time, because of maybe poor boundaries, societal expectations, and just because you've fallen into these roles, you could be spending your time doing things that you really don't value. So the first step to this is write down all of those things that I just mentioned. Money, time, thoughts. Okay, write them down. And then what I want you to think about is, what do you want your values to be? Because I know if I'm speaking for myself, like 3 years ago, I hadn't really thought about value. Like I thought value was like value for money, okay? But now I've come to understand like what are my values? What are the kind of like navigations for my life? What are those things that really like align me? They keep me in the right direction. And that's what helped me to create my values, to understand my values. But it had to come from me really learning about who I am and what I wanted from life. So can you see that actually like you could be living a life that's very much outside of your values right now? You may not even know what they are, and that's okay. So first of all, if we look at where we're spending our time, effort, money, and thoughts, and then we can go, right, but what do we want? And this is something that we've had recently inside CC. A lady came to me and she'd give me probably 6 different values. And we spoke about them and I was like, these don't really feel like you. And what can happen in the coaching kind of like capacity, if you like, we can see people's potential beyond the way that they're currently operating. So they can have like a desire for this. You can see that they've got potential in this area. You can notice these traits and these kind of like personality styles within them that they maybe don't see themselves. So I actually challenged this particular individual and was like, Do you feel excited by those values? Do you feel like those values are going to really help you to understand where you're going and to act as guides towards the life that you want to build? And she was like, no. And I was like, right, okay. What I want you to do is go away and remove people from your life and just think like, how do you want to show up to the world? What do you want to think about? What do you want to be a priority to you? What do you want to spend your money on and your time on? You know, say, for example, we could have a magic wand and we could change the career that we're in and the amount of help that we get at home. What would be different? About 2 days later, because she's a serious implementer, she came back to me with a list of, I think it was 4 values, completely different. And I was like, how does that feel? She was like, absolutely fucking incredible. She's like, these are my values. I just didn't realize it because I didn't give myself the time and the capacity to explore those different areas. So that's what I want you to do. First of all, write down the reality. Second of all, write down what you would like it to be. So if we could have that magic wand, what would you like your values to be? And then all I want you to think about from there, and you could pause this podcast or just kind of like take some notes on your phone. Start thinking of those values in your actions and when you're making decisions. So are you choosing to snooze your alarm, but you've had self-betterment or health potentially as a value? Maybe one of your highest values could be similar to mine, so it's freedom. But are you putting yourself in a situation where you're not able to speak your mind? You know, what is it that we can challenge your values on? And it's going to be day-to-day stuff. Doesn't need to be anything monumental. Also, if you do get faced with a big decision, it could be a house move, it could be going on holiday, like it could be anything, like a career progression potentially. Come back to your desired values, or even for some of you, it will be the ones that you're currently living by, and just check in. Because the second part of value establishment is about putting it to the test. It's about seeing if they actually do correlate with what you say they're going to correlate with. So that's the second part. So that's quite a lot of work for you to get cracking with straight away. So give it a go, get clear on your values. If you do want to understand a little bit more about values, go and check out Dr. John Demartini. Okay, he has a values test online. It's quite a lengthy one, but it is 100% worth doing. The second thing that you could do when we're thinking about rich life and vision, and this could be a little bit more short term, and inside Coaching Club, we do this pretty much every year, and it's creating a vision board. So having clearly where you want to be in 12 months' time, the things that you want to tick off, the type of person that you want to be, the relationships that you want to have nurtured. Literally, so what I do for this, instead of having like a visual board, because I'm traveling quite a lot at the moment, I have the background on my laptop and also the background on my phone as a vision board that I created on Canva. What this does to me is kind of on a subconscious level. Every time I'm looking at my phone or I pick up my phone, I don't really 100% register it, but subconsciously it's just steering me in that right direction. And remember, that's what we talked about in the beginning of the reason why vision is so important. It's because it's those gentle nudges moving us in the right direction. So that could be the second thing that you do. And I cannot urge you enough. So if you are a woman who is people pleasing quite a lot, your boundaries aren't so good, you're probably going to put things on this vision board that you feel like you should. And a lot of what we need to do before we come to this stuff, very similar to the values, is really understand who we are and what we want. Because when we go into careers, when we go into becoming a mum, generally what can happen is we can forget about ourselves. We can kind of lose that part of our identity of the person that we were pre those things. So this is where it might require a bit of digging, okay? And I want you to know that no one's going to judge you on this, okay? And if anyone does, are they really your people? You know, a lot of the time we've had people who've had mum guilt inside Coaching Club because they feel like family should be the top of the list. Whereas actually, yes, you care for your family. Yes, you are responsible for them. Yes, you love them dearly. But with you living your best life, they're going to be there, right? So maybe we could link into self-betterment. How can you link self-betterment with your family? How can you being a better, more relaxed, happier human link to benefit in your family? Because there is a multitude of different ways. So that's what I want you to do when you're doing your vision board digitally or out on a piece of paper and getting kind of like cutouts of magazines and stuff, wherever your creative spark lies. Go based upon what you genuinely want. Don't go based upon what everyone else says that you should want. Listen to yourself. And then when you look at that vision board, you should feel excited. You should feel compelled. It should be one of those ones where you're like, I cannot wait to action this. So give that a go. Now, those are two very big topics, right? They're two very big tasks, if you like, that could, if you're new to this, or even if you're not, could take quite a while for you to implement. Then what happens is we've set these big monstrous goals, right? Whether it be that we've got the the rich life locked in, and then we've got the vision board, we've got that locked in, so we know maybe where we want to be in 12 months, or you could even do a rich life vision board if you want. So one way you're going to want to look at when you're 85 on your rocking chair. It's completely up to you. If I was you in your shoes, I would have the clarity around my values, where I'm going, and therefore rich life, so we know where we're going. And then you've got your vision board, which would maybe be for the next year, so you can break it down. But then we need to know how we're going to get there. Because a lot of people are fantastic, right? Fantastic at goal setting, but not so good at goal getting. And the gap in between that is how you're going to get there. And this is something that we've recently introduced to the coaching club, because it's very easy to set goals and then just do nothing about them. And then you get to the end of the month and you're like, shit, I said I wanted those things and I still want those things. So we've introduced what's called 6-week sprints into the coaching club. And this is basically across the 8 areas of a female's life. And it could be career, it could be appearance, it could be performance, it could be health, it could be fun, it could be family. And we've kind of allowed the ladies to choose what sort of areas feels best for them. Once we've done that, we've gone, what do you want? And not, I want to lose weight or I want to have more fun. Like, what do you want? Like, I want us to be able to tell a 5-year-old what we want and for them to be like, Roger that. I know completely what you're talking about, okay? So what we want with absolute clarity. And then it's who is going to help you to get there? And that could be for lots of these CC girls. It was CC coaches, it was partners, it was maybe someone who could help out with childcare. And then it was, how are we going to get there? How? Like, what is the exact procedure in order to make that goal come to fruition? Because without the how, we don't really know how we're going to get there, right? We've just thrown this goal up in the air and gone, come to reality. Whereas if we can get stuck into the nitty gritty of the how, it's an absolute game changer. And that's what I want you to do here. So be specific on what is part of your next 12-month goals that's going to go on the vision board, and also the broader goals. So rather than rich life, get into my rocking chair and being in a place of, I don't know, what could it be? Potentially like feeling content with the way my life has gone. What is it going to take for you to get to that point? What is it going to take for you to get to a point where you are content? Because that's going to be different to everybody, right? And we need to make sure that we are super clear on that. So whatever you're putting down on that piece of paper, I want you to be super crystal clear, because today is about clarity. Yes, we've talked about lifelong goals. Yes, we've talked about shorter goals, but without the how, without the formula for how we're going to get those goals to happen, we're just going to keep going, writing those goals down, not having clarity, and not therefore moving forwards. And what's the point in that, right? Because a lot of people will get stuck in that for the whole of their life. And even if you leave today's podcast with just one goal, with clarity on one step forwards, it could be that you have spent the last 15 years desperate to lose weight. And today you're like, right, how am I going to make it happen? How can I ingrain this into my identity, into my routine, into my habits, so that I don't keep repeating these same mistakes and these same false starts? Point number 4, when looking at your vision and getting clear on it, getting clear on your values, is seeking support. It has really been brought to my attention over the past couple of weeks since being back in the UK, how important environment is. First of all, if we don't know our vision, if we don't know where we're going, we can start to just kind of like self-sabotage because we're like, meh, don't like putting it in the sat nav. Well, I don't know where I'm going, so may as well just stay here and just play around, pretend I'm busy, right? But also environment. We are the product of our environment. And there's a saying that I'm definitely going to butcher right now, but it's something along the lines of, if you can show me your friend circle, I can show you your future. And this is something that we've, again, spoken about a lot inside CC recently, because we can go through phases of disconnecting from those things that are really good for us. We can go back to old default behavioral patterns. And if we continue to do that, we're going to keep getting the same outcomes. So by being around people who support your mission, who are on a very similar journey to you, by also being around people who are going to call you out on your bullshit, it's an absolute game changer, because you are constantly being aligned in the direction that you want to go on. Whereas if you're around people who may be drinking at weekends, who maybe are like, they celebrate everything with like an abundance of cake, and it's not even just like a decent slice, it's literally like a whole cake every time, and you're like, oh my God, like this is massively derailing me. We fall to those people. We don't if we get to choose, right, whether we rise because of the people around us or whether we fall, okay? And if you're not designing your community, your tribe, your environment, it's going to happen by default. And I say this a lot on this podcast, like I've got some incredible friends, right? I have some that I have an absolutely epic laugh with. I have others who completely get me and I can talk on a really deep level. But it's really important for me to put myself in rooms and communities of people who inspire me to grow, of people who are living a life that I want to live. And it's not so that I can drop into comparison or anything like that. It's so that I can evolve with them. I can learn from them and I can be inspired. So that's the fourth thing that I want you to think about today. Do you need to up-level your community? And it's not about like burning bridges. It's not about cutting people away from your life at all. That's a really toxic mentality. It's about just sprinkling the people into your circle who are more aligned with where you're going. And for me, the biggest change was hiring a coach and a mentor, because it put me in those rooms. It put me in those rooms in abundance, and also gave me someone who I can go to for advice. I can go to for pretty brutal upfront feedback, because I trust them, because they have gone through, whether it be themselves or with their clients, the transformation, the transition that I want to go through. They've walked the walk. So from you here, it could be that you've been eyeing up a couple of mentors or coaches, but you've had that fear holding you back. It's going to be uncomfortable to lean in. It's going to be uncomfortable to ask for help. But what will be more uncomfortable for you when you come to your rocking chair? Will it be knowing that you sat on your hands for many, many years? Or will it be that you felt the fear, you did it anyway, and you embarked after your dreams? Because you'll be bloody proud of yourself if you do manage to go down that route yourself. And usually the only thing holding you back is you. So what needs to happen in order for you to lean in? Is it that you need to kind of dip your toe in that community a little bit more? Is it that you need to put your hand up and just speak to that person, to that coach, so that you can get to know them a little bit more? The final thing when thinking about vision, rich life, values, creating this life, because it can seem really bloody overwhelming, can't it? It can seem overwhelming, it can seem monstrous, it can seem like, how the fuck am I going to do it? How am I going to do that? I just don't know how I can do it. The final thing is embrace flexibility. Allow yourself to ebb and flow with life. This is something we talk about a lot inside Coaching Club, and we've created this Coaching Club model that's called this varying standards. Okay, and that basically is every woman who joins, they get to look at, what are your baselines? Is it that to stop yourself from dropping to the bottom of the pile, from feeling like absolute crap? Is it that you need to make sure you get your 2 litres of water in every day and you're in bed by 10 o'clock? Okay, they could be your 2 non-negotiables. And then we go on to the next level. What are your mediocre? Your mediocre, so this is just when life is generally busy, because it's all busy for all of us, okay? Busy women are all women, generally, okay? So what are those mediocre standards? Are they that you are then going to add in 6,000 steps a day? Maybe you're going to also make sure that you get your 5 a day in, okay? And then your final level, the one that we call optimal, is when life is just a little bit easier. So some people, it's when they go on holiday so they don't have work. For other people, it's when they've got extra childcare, whatever, right? What can we do then? And that could be a gym workout. That could be tracking food. That could be planning food. Your standards, your varying standards are different for everybody. Okay, they're different for you than they are to me. They're different from me to the CC girls. Everyone's got different standards. And if you really own them, that's where the game changes, because you are operating from a degree of flexibility. Consistency is not one straight line. Okay, it's not linear. Consistency is all over the shop, because you're going to have some days where you're super busy and someone drops a bomb on your lap and you're like, oh my God, now what am I going to do? So you have to adapt. This is where societal expectations come in. Like if you tell someone you're on a diet, you are absolutely held to that accountability. You are on a diet and, oh my God, you shouldn't be having that cake. Like the amount of times when I was a personal trainer, right? People used to go to me, you shouldn't be having that, you're a PT. Used to absolutely rile me. And I can now see from when people come to me and they're like under this kind of like weight of pressure, because they feel like they've got to stick to those things religiously because of what other people are going to say. Whereas allowing you, and this is something that we help CC girls to develop, is that courage to go, well, actually, I'm more than entitled to have cake. And it's really none of your business. So let me live, leave me to it, and I'm going to continue on my journey. Standing in your power, allowing yourself to live a life that is right for you and your family and your career and everything that comes into your life is key. But you have to be the architect of this. It's not down to following rules that Sandra down the road does, or, Kim over there, the things that she does. It's not about that. Yes, we can be inspired by other people, but to really allow yourself to ebb and flow with life, we have to allow our standards to come from within. They can't come from other people. So they are the 5 steps to creating a stronger vision, to knowing where you're going. So step 1 is, first of all, get really clear on rich life, on vision. What life do you have to have lived when it comes to your rocking chair to have no regrets? Step 2 is define your values, define your priorities, and then think about how you can live a life that's aligned to those. Step 3 is create a vision board or some sort of reminder every single day that aligns you with where you're going. Step 4, be clear on where you want to go and why you want to go there, who it's going to take to get you there, and how is the most important thing. How are you going to get there? Step 5 is seek support, maybe mentorship, get yourself stuck into a community. And then 6 is embrace that adaptability and that flexibility. I would love to know which one of these feels like most compelling for you to do right now. It could be review your values. It could be getting stuck into a community. Let me know on social media. Have an incredible day, and I will speak to you very soon.